minus 9 minutes. Minus 8 minutes. Minus 7 minutes. minus 3 minutes. Minus 2 minutes. Minus 1 minute. Stand by.
How about that?
Well, I'll tell you what, I've been sitting in this chair for an hour, ready to go on a brand new week. Scruffy's with me. We've got so much to get to. There's not a lot of time for Mickey Mouse, and I'll just tell you that we're broadcasting on the Game Plus Television Network and WQVZ Radio, various podcast platforms. Coming up in hour 2, Doug MacLean will be with us. You all know him. I hope you all love him. Formerly of Rogers Sportsnet, the former head coach of the Florida Panthers, and Mr. Everything with the Columbus Blue Jackets. Doug MacLean will be with us in hour 2. Let's get down to business, Scruffy, with point 1. I know you're ready to. It's the NHL coming out of the weekend. We've got a lot of topics to get to here, but wonderful start to the Stanley Cup playoffs, wouldn't you say?
I can't help but notice that you've replaced that jersey behind you, you bandwagon jumper.
I'm a little bit of a fly in the ointment. You know I like to get things going. Yeah, well, Gordy Stellick said it this morning at NHL Radio. There was no easing into the Stanley Cup playoffs. 3 seconds in, Brady Tkachuk's chucking the knuckles with Jordan Staal in the Ottawa. Let's go! And I'll say this to Ottawa fans, you can't score from the penalty box. A myriad of things coming out of the weekend.
Well, you can say that to John Cooper, too. You can say that to John Cooper, too. Yes, he did.
Yeah, Cooper said that after the game last. Well, listen, okay.
You know what I thought?
Yes,
for the most
go.
Part, oh, sorry.
No, go.
For the most part, I thought a very entertaining weekend of NHL Stanley Cup hockey. The only game that really disappointed me but it didn't surprise me, was Minnesota just demolishing Dallas. I didn't see that coming. I see Minnesota winning that series, and I've picked Minnesota to win the Stanley Cup, but I didn't see them coming out and dog-walking the Stars in Dallas in Game 1. Philly-Pittsburgh was what I thought it would be. Give Montreal a lot of credit yesterday for winning that game in Tampa. The Buffalo game last night was unreal. I wonder how many people turned that off when it was 2-0 with 8 minutes to go. And I dozed off in the Vegas-Mammoth game last night when it was 2-1 for Mammoth and got up with about 3 minutes left and saw the end result. So, a lot of good hockey, and I expect Anaheim and Edmonton to be a great Game 1 tonight, but we'll see what happens.
Sure, don't get too far ahead of yourself. That's point 2 is tonight's games. But I'll say this, viewer Lucier writes in, a Frenchie, and clearly a Canadiens fan, says, ole, 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 Tabernac, Bolts jersey. Listen, I asked you this. You never gave me an answer. I'm going to ask you again. Have I become emotionally mature, scruffy, or just boring that I don't have any hate? I don't have any sports hate for any teams. I got a Habs fan. Chris Milo, okay, 2-time Grey Cup champion kicker, is flying down to Florida to go to the Habs and the Lightning on Tuesday night. Asked if I was going to. I'm happy for the Habs fans, but I don't hate any team. I'd be happy if they win this series. I'm cheering for Tampa, but I don't hate any teams.
You have to have a favorite and a villain when it comes to sports. And it doesn't matter to me. And I know that you want to play the role of Switzerland and be neutral, and that's fine. And maybe that's part of the reason is because the team that won the last 2 Stanley Cups that you cover pretty well isn't in the dance this year. But, for me, obviously I'm cheering for Edmonton. And Toronto's not in it, so I don't have to worry about them being eliminated ASAP. Let's just get Colorado and Vegas out, and I'll be a happy boy.
But do you hate any team? Like, let's be honest. I did. And by the way, nice try, Jeff, the Stamps fan, as we sit here and talk Stanley Cup playoff hockey. There are teams that I hated with a passion. And I'll tell you who they are. Moose Jaw Warriors, Calgary Stampede. Hated them. But I don't have any hate for anybody now, and I don't know if
because you're not as involved anymore with it. You're not on the front lines anymore, though, Rod. You were when you were with the Pats and Riders, obviously, and so was I. As a University of Regina Rams fan, I've got no time for the University of Saskatchewan Huskies, but I respect the job that they do. But I'm on the front lines with the Rams and the Cougars, so of course.
And you know them personally,
and vice versa.
Yeah, sure, but no, yes and no. But I mean, I've been around John Cooper a ton the past couple of years. I love that guy. He's the best.
Yep.
But if Montreal wins, I'm not going to get upset over it. You know what I mean? And by the way, the daily poll is for Country Thunder, the biggest party this summer is coming to Craven, Saskatchewan, July 9th to the 12th, featuring Lainey Wilson and Creed. Get your tickets now at countrythunder.sk. Just $20 down secures your weekend pass. Mitch, the poll question is, will there be an upset in round 1? I think the answer would be yes. The question is how many, but what are you voting, yes or no? Will there be an upset in round 1?
Well, what's the definition of an upset nowadays, Rod? Is it point differential? Like, if Philadelphia beats Pittsburgh, is that an upset? If Minnesota beats Dallas, is that an upset? I guess you could say if LA beat Colorado, it would be an upset. Or if Ottawa beat Carolina, but I'd have to take a look at the point differential there. But when you've got so many teams that are close to one another, like it's not like, one team is 40 points behind the other. So I don't know if you could really say if a 3 beats a 2 or a wild card team beats a 1, if it's an upset. Utah had more regulation wins than Vegas. So is it an upset if Utah beats the Knights?
It's a wonderful point by you. But the simple fact is, if you have home ice in a series, like if Montreal beats Tampa, that's an upset. If Philly beats Pittsburgh, that's an upset. I totally get what if Minnesota beats Dallas, it's an upset. I'm with you. I mean, I hate when you sit all day and wait for a game, and then that happens. And which, by the way, we're going to have to break here right away, but I was at a football field yesterday, and we were talking, I was talking with a guy about the Minnesota-Dallas game, and the guy goes, oh, did you see P.K. Subban and Messier rip the Stars on ESPN? I'm like, did they? I didn't even know. Would it matter? Would it matter with these players now? Even John Cooper said after the game last night it was stupidity. Somebody said, "Do you have a problem with the refs after the game, John?" He goes, "I have a problem with our own team." That's just stupidity. Well, he was hilarious, and he was smiling. Which, by the way, that was a temperature-taking game between Montreal and Tampa Bay. Most games ones are, and it's like, oh. Montreal came to play. Okay. Most of the game ones are. Hang on, everybody. We'll be right back. This is the warm-up brought to you by our friends at Uniglobe Carefree Travel Group out of Vancouver and all across Western Canada. We'll be right back here on Game Plus TV.
Across America, Country Thunder Music Festivals bring you the biggest superstars. See unforgettable performances by Zach Top, Lady Wilson, Brooks and Dunn, Keith Urban, Riley Green, the Red Clay Strays, Kane Brown, Gavin Adcock, and so many more. Join the party under the desert sky in Arizona, on the sandy shores of the Gulf in Florida, or in gorgeous Wisconsin Lake Country. It's the music you love, live and loud. Tickets, hotel, and camping info available at countrythunder.com.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge. Big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too. Al-Anon and Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Hold on tight, Moose Jaw. Professional bull riding is back. PBR Canada charges into the Temple Garden Center April 25th. See the toughest riders take on the rankest bulls in a night of non-stop, edgier seat action. Whether you're a diehard fan or brand new to PBR, this is one show you don't want to miss. Tickets are on sale now at sastix.ca or at the box office. But don't wait, they'll sell fast. Professional Bull Riding Canada in Moose Jaw.
Proudly presented by Papikassis Developments Limited.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Ultimate Fan Zone, taking our show on the road coast to coast. Shop online, ultimatefanzone.ca. Slick, user-friendly. We built this site for the die-hard sports fans. Jerseys, hats, team apparel, offering officially licensed fan gear from the best lines in sports. Nike, New Era, Adidas, Fanatics. Game day ready to your door. Now, just a click away, ultimatefanzone.ca. Or check us out on Facebook and Instagram. UFZ Downtown Moose Jaw, home of everything authentic.
21-time nominated Grammy Award winner Dwight Yoakam. Live in concert. June 24th, 7 p.m., Temple Garden Center. Dwight Yoakam. On sale now at sasktix.ca. Dwight Yoakam Live.
It's the RP Show. We're back on Game Plus TV. We got a long ways to go and a short time to get there. From the comments section, John in Winnipeg says, "What's up with Dallas? The Wildwood Winkies could have beat them Stars in Dallas." Yes. There's, like I say, a lot of comments have come in. But, Mitch, let me ask you this, because I got NBA on the docket here, Major League Baseball, a little CFL, a little NFL. But as far as other sport, is there a sport that you don't even know that it's on? Like I'm keeping an eye on the NBA playoffs, even though Charles Barkley said last night the NBA is boring and the NHL is better, which is fine. I'm keeping an eye on it. I really am. Is there a sport that you don't even keep an eye on? Yeah, what is it?
The UFL.
I kind of meant a major sport, but that's fine. That's totally fine. Yeah, I'm.
Oh, like one of the major sports?
Yeah.
No, as I said, I sort of keep, I'm like you. I didn't really watch a lot of the NBA playoffs this weekend. But, when the Raptors played Saturday afternoon, when I was switching the dial around, it's like, oh, what's the score? Oh, okay. There was another game yesterday that just sort of tells you, oh, it was San Antonio and whoever they're playing. And, the game was on, and it's like, oh, okay. But yeah, I just, at the end of the night, take a look at the scores, and the old Twitter box, tells you what's going on with final scores and that, so you know what's happening. But yeah, I can't get into the NBA. I just can't. If it's U.S. college basketball,
that's fine.
You've got me. But
yeah,
the NBA,
but
it just doesn't.
For me, it's MLS. Everybody's all horny about Inter Miami here. They got a new stadium. Yep. I get that. And Messi, I'm like, oh, they're playing? Didn't they just win? So when people say that about the Panthers, it drives my bus. But I'm like, I get it. They're just not into what we're into. So let's get back to what we're into. Bob in Medicine Hat writes in, he says, "Hey, Rod and Scruffy, hope you guys had a great weekend. How about Montreal? They will take it in 6 games. That's an upset." Kirk in Toronto
They're
says,
coming out.
Ole. Who, the Habs fans?
It took one game for them to come out, didn't it?
I know, but that's okay. They're not like Leaf fans. They're not as depressing as Leaf fans, which, by the way, I haven't talked to you since – not yet. I haven't talked to you since last week. Do you actually think Keith Pelly is running MLSE and the Leafs on AI, like the Athletic article intimated
I'll
that he is?
Well, I'll tell you what, that story – I knew it was bad in Toronto, but I didn't think it was that bad. And Jonas Siegel is a guy that I think really has an axe to grind with the Leafs, because whenever I see him on Overdrive, he is extremely critical of the Maple Leafs, which is fine. But Chris Johnston, James Myrtle, they did a very good job on that. And when you take a look at what happened on draft day with Keith Pelly in the room, there's something there. I don't know if it's, but where there's smoke, there's fire. And I think you said it today in your Monday column. You don't win games with numbers. And I don't know why people can't figure that out. Not just in hockey, but in every sport. You don't win games with numbers.
And it's not just that.
Stratomatic baseball here.
Well, I'm trying to put my mind in at what Brad Treliving must have been thinking if the report's true that was in the if I had a boss in our broadcasting business, and you and I have worked side by side for a very long time, this ain't no lie, and you might be right there with me. If I had a boss come up to me with a stack of AI notes and told me how to do my job based on what he put into Chat GPT, it would be, here's your microphone, you do it. Which is kind of what it became, Rod, by the end. What?
Rod, do you really think our boss could spell AI?
That's a really good point. Okay, back on point. Arlen Bruce writes in and says, great day, RP and Scruffy. RP, I went 4-2 with my picks for the NHL games. He says, I'm ready to give my picks for Game 2 tonight. Hang on, we're not there yet. And that's brought to you by Pump Jacks Cathedral and Pump Jacks Weyburn. But is that everything coming out of the weekend? By the way, Doug MacLean coming up in hour 2. We'll recap it all with him. I think we kind of got it covered.
Well, I think the only other thing is that May 5th we'll find out where Gavin McKenna's going. And every team
that's
can
the draft
now start
lottery.
Making their how is their team going to look if they have Gavin McKenna? I think a team like Calgary, that would take them to the playoffs. The Rangers, it might take them to the playoffs. Vancouver, it won't. Chicago, they'll be close. Florida, they'll be back where they were.
They'll be good. I'm looking at the audience. Sorry, Scruffy, I was listening to you, but Scott in Vancouver writes in, he says, I thought you were going to lead with Alvin's firing. Bro, that was Friday, which might as well have been a month ago, which we did lead with the Alvin firing. I'm not thinking about Patrick Alvin. Leave the topics to us, please.
Hold on. Stanley
Utah,
Cup playoffs
what?
begin. Worst team in the NHL fires their general manager. Yeah. I think you're on the right path there, Roddy. I think
not
you're
interested.
On the
But Monty in Saskatoon says, bring Roy to Toronto for GM. Hey, I would hire Patrick Waugh. I would sure as hell hire him over a computer. I would tell you that. But anyways, we kind of covered the NBA. I'll just say this. Point 3, the Toronto Raptors try to square their first-round best-of-7 NBA playoff series tonight in Cleveland after a 126-113 loss in Game 1. I guess we should... Well, I'll speed this up in terms of getting to all the topics. Point 4, the Blue Jays open a 3-game series tonight in Anaheim against the Angels after snapping a 4-game slide with a 10-4 win at the Diamondbacks on Sunday. And Utah, Darren writes in, he says, I don't even watch baseball till July. Bro, your lips to our ears. Point 5, let's get to this because I haven't talked to you. Coming out of the weekend, CFL, NFL news. Because this is the Canadian Hour, Taylor Elgersma signs with Winnipeg, and the Saskatchewan Roughriders cut a Joe after an off-field incident the night of their Grey Cup party. Good news, bad news is what that is to me. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, it is to me too. I think Taylor Elgersma, and I put it on Twitter. I didn't put it on the Saturday column that I write for your website, but it's good for the CFL that Taylor Elgersma is now going to get a chance, and I'm guessing he will be the starting quarterback for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in 2027. And now it's time for Curtis Work to do the same thing. Get your butt up here and start playing football like your brother did, because I think, I know there's a lot of talk because he's not in the Ryder office right now, but there's a lot of talk that Jack Cohn is the heir apparent to Trevor Harris, who I think will probably play his last season this year, but you never know. But are the Riders confident in Jack Cohn? They seem to be. Everything I hear about Jack Cohn from Rider staffers is that the guy's got a future. But people have told me that Curtis Work is better than his brother. So let's get him up here. As far as Ajo goes, that's just a bad situation. The young man brought it on himself. There are a lot of very valid questions that have been asked, but whether or not we get the answers to those, I do not know. But I do know this. The people that are saying, wow, this is what happens when you let the Riders cut loose after the parade. Funny, Roddy, I didn't see any Florida Panthers doing anything after the Stanley Cup the last 2 years, and we saw what happened with them. I didn't see any of the Blue Jays after their celebrations get in trouble. So don't blame this on the Saskatchewan Roughriders as an organization. This was a young man that obviously he's had a lot of strikes, and he had one more. And whether or not he plays the game again, I don't know. But if he doesn't, he's got no one to blame but himself if the allegations are true, which they seem to be.
By the way, we're going fast through these. We can come back in the next segment and get everybody's opinion on everything. But I'm splitting CFL/NFL news into point 5 here, the quick 6 show topics for Neil Chark, Uniglobe, Carefree Travel. Because NFL, Mitch, you might get a kick out of this. I'm driving down I-95 yesterday between Fort Lauderdale and Boca. I was announcing football in the afternoon. There's a billboard on the side of the highway, a digital billboard that says NFL Draft 4 days. And I'm looking going, who paid for that? It's an NFL logo in the corner. I'm going, 95% of people driving down this corridor know that the NFL Draft is in 4 days. But what that told me is the NFL's still advertising in South Florida.
Yep.
They probably are in all the team markets. Coca-Cola still advertises. McDonald's still advertises. I kind of thought you don't need to tell these people that the NFL Draft is in 4 days. And this morning on Pro Football Talk Radio, NBC Sports Radio, Sims and Florio said there's no drama past number 1 in the draft, but we're all going to be watching all weekend, and they're not wrong.
Nope, they're not. And the hype machine is in full swing. And when Dexter Lawrence got traded to the Cincinnati Bengals on Saturday afternoon, everybody just went, yeah, baby, because now they've got something new to talk about leading us up to the draft. And now that Aaron Rodgers has said, well, you know what, I don't know if I'm going to play or not. You're not going to get my decision until after the draft. Oh, baby, we've got something to talk about. Because I heard somebody say that if Rodgers doesn't commit or if he says he's done, that maybe the Steelers go out and get Ty Simpson, the Alabama quarterback. Well, what do you do if he's not going to give you that decision? Do you go ahead and draft him because you know you might need a quarterback somewhere? Or what do you, like, there's just so much intrigue going into the NFL draft. By the way, when's the CFL draft? It's coming up.
Next Tuesday, a week from tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
Next Tuesday. Right. Sexy Dexy, as he was called this morning, I heard Dexter Lawrence. So anyways, those are all of our topics. Believe it or not, we've got through NHL from the weekend, NHL tonight. We actually haven't really got to that. We're going to hear right now. Point 3 is NBA. Point 4, MLB. Point 5 is football. Matthew DeBuck checking in. Coach DeBuck here from Fort Lauderdale, Florida says, go, Habs, go. Oh, my God, like we haven't talked about. Speaking of people coming out of the woodwork, Scruffy, he's won. But I'll say it again. You watched the Habs Tampa game Sunday?
I watched bits and pieces of it. I didn't watch the whole thing from start to finish. I saw the first period. I saw middle part of the third. And then I saw the end, like going into I missed the goal because intermission by the time I got back to it, they were celebrating. So I missed, I saw the penalty, but I didn't see the goal coming out of the intermission.
It's all fine.
I've seen the goal now, so.
The viewers want to talk about the Stanley Cup playoffs, and I'm down. Lucier writes in and says, I think people are probably saying Slav was the better pick than Wright. Well, clearly, he was number 1 overall. You would hope that they wouldn't screw that up. And that, by the way, is my thing. We got time here, and Scruffy's coming back for one more segment after this. It was just one game, and I'm not sitting here as a Tampa apologist, but the Habs, it was only 1 goal game, went to overtime, but they kind of beat the brakes off the Lightning in a lot of ways. Like, those Slavkovsky goals were all from the exact same spot. Can you guys not, on the ice, can you not figure out how to stop this? And Vazzy too? And stay out of the penalty box? Like, that was not a good Stanley Cup playoff debut for the Tampa Bay Lightning at all. And I was a lot envious of the people in that barn because it's got something. Of all the rinks in America, it might be the most intimidating to go into, Tampa Bay. They blow the doors off that place. No, Tampa. I was talking about the Tampa game. Buffalo
I'd say
has
Buffalo
been relevant.
On that one, Roddy.
Scruffy, Buffalo has been relevant for 20 seconds. We're talking about Tampa Bay that's been in the Stanley Cup 3 straight. Forget about Buffalo. We'll be right back. 902-518-30. Yeah, Boston would agree with you, but no. There's no. We'll be right back. You're watching the RP Show on Game Plus Television.
Ultimate Fan Zone, taking our show on the road coast to coast. Shop online, ultimatefanzone.ca. Slick, user-friendly. We built this site for the die-hard sports fans. Jerseys, hats, team apparel, offering officially licensed fan gear from the best lines in sports. Nike, New Era, Adidas, Fanatics. Game day ready to your door. Now, just a click away. ultimatefanzone.ca or check us out on Facebook and Instagram. UFZ Downtown Moose Jaw, home of everything authentic.
Hold on tight, Moose Jaw. Professional bull riding is back. PBR Canada charges into the Temple Garden Center April 25th. See the toughest riders take on the rankest bulls in a night of non-stop edgier seat action. Whether you're a diehard fan or brand new to PBR, this is one show you don't want to miss. Tickets are on sale now at sastix.ca or at the box office. But don't wait, they'll sell fast. Professional Bull Riding Canada in Moose Jaw.
Proudly presented by Papikassis Developments Limited.
You have a vision, a big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Across America, Country Thunder Music Festivals bring you the biggest superstars. See unforgettable performances by Zach Top, Lady Wilson, Brooks and Dunn, Keith Urban, Riley Green, the Red Clay Strays, Kane Brown, Gavin Adcock, and so many more. Join the party under the desert sky in Arizona, on the sandy shores of the Gulf in Florida, or in gorgeous Wisconsin Lake Country. It's the music you love, live and loud. Tickets, hotel, and camping info available at countrythunder.com.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Well, this has been a really good start to the week. Scruffy with me for one more segment here. By the way, the hockey report is for the Mad Greek Eatery in Moose Jaw. You're going to be ordering pizza for hockey watching. Make it the Mad Greek. From classic to loaded, pizza night and hockey night starts at the Mad Greek Eatery. Order online, themadgreekeatery.com. And, of course, we're brought to you in hour one by Tony Plater. TP, Tony the Tiger. Outlaw Communications, that's Tony Plater. Creativity isn't a hobby, it's a way of life. He's another one of those annoying Habs fans, just like DeBuck. We craft bold strategies, sharp leadership training, and content that makes people lean in and listen. Outlaw Communications. You look like you're going to say something, because I have a point. I'm ready to go, but do you have something to say?
Well, I was just going to say, you brought up, your Tampa thing. Let's wait until Chicago gets back in the playoffs and see how intimidating that place is going
to be. Wake me up when they do. I'll be a member of the AARP by then, American Association of Retired Persons. Darren in Melfort. Darren, close. Darren in Melfort writes in and says, I agree with Scruffy. I gave UFL a chance, but just can't get into it whatsoever. Hey, you gave it a chance. That's like me in soccer. I can't blame you guys. If it's on, I'll watch it, and I will enjoy it. I don't mind it, but I'm not planning my week around it for sure. But back to these coming out of the weekend. And we will get to the Oilers and Ducks game one tonight because it's big, but You know, I mentioned here the ESPN thing, the guys at the football field yesterday talking about PK Subban and Mark Messier losing it on the Stars. I don't know if it would matter, but I would rather lose 6-1 and be embarrassed and humiliated than like the Lightning, who the coach has to convince them that they were stupid. Oh, but coach, we got it to overtime. No, you should have beat him, guys. You know what I'm saying? I would rather get
I know what you're
in
saying.
A playoff game.
If the Dallas Stars come out tonight and get waxed again, then you've got some questions that need to be asked. I thought that, even though Pittsburgh was in the game when you take a look at the score, I thought Philadelphia outworked them. And I expect Pittsburgh to be better tonight, especially on home ice, much like Dallas. But if Philadelphia goes out tonight and stomps on the Penguins, then I think you've got a lot of questions to be asked there as well. And would I be surprised if I'm talking to you tomorrow and both these series are even at 1? No. But I do think Minnesota beats Dallas tonight, because I'm starting to wonder, Roddy, if, much like Connor Hellebuck in the playoffs, if Jake Ottinger is a goaltender that just doesn't have that playoff level.
I don't think you need to wonder. I think he's what you just said. He's not a big game guy.
It's starting to look
he's
that
not
way,
a player.
and I wonder, because there were a lot of people that questioned Connor Hellebuck getting the number 1 role at the Winter Olympics going into the games ahead of Jake Ottinger. I think we know now why Connor Hellebuck got the starting gig.
Of course.
Because
he got it to overtime. Yeah. He got it to overtime on the Four Nations face-off. Now, hang on. For the Oilers fans, because we have so many viewers in Edmonton on Game Plus TV, Arlen Bruce writes in, who, by the way, said on Friday his favorite road stadium to play in was Commonwealth Stadium, but that's a topic for another time. AB says, RP and Mr. Scruffy, can the Oilers put up 6 goals tonight versus the Ducks? The Wild put up 6 pretty quickly. Well, number one, I don't know that the Oilers are even thinking about that. They'd be happy with a 2-1 victory. Lucas Dostal is the goalie for the Ducks against Connor Ingram. I can't see this one getting away from Anaheim, but I don't know. But I said Tampa's the hardest barn in the States to play in as a road visitor. I'm talking playoff time. Edmonton, pretty intimidating, I would think, for a Lucas Dostal and any visiting team going in there.
We don't know what the lineup is yet. It does look like Leon Draisaitl and Jason Dickinson are both going to play, which obviously makes Edmonton a better hockey team. This is a hockey team that's been battle-tested. Say what you will about them this season, but they've been battle-tested through the last 2 playoffs. This is an Anaheim team that, like Montreal last year, has a lot of young talent with guys like Gauthier, Lacombe, Carlson, who now it's time to take your game up a level. And can they do that in Edmonton in Game 1? We saw Edmonton play much better in the final 10 games. They sort of got their defensive structure back, with the exception of that loss in Utah. Connor Ingram is going to be their goaltender. Edmonton will be a very tough opponent for the Anaheim Ducks. And as I've said before, I think Edmonton wins their first round series, and then after that, everything's a crapshoot with them. But I don't.
Yeah, it's interesting. Utah,
Colorado, Minnesota, Dallas.
Utah. Darren writes in and says playoff experience really came through watching the Mammoth and Golden Knights last night. Oh, it totally does. But I'll tell you what. Look at the. There was a stat I saw. The Lightning have the most playoff games experience in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Montreal has the 3rd least. Philly has the least. I want to. This will go. You'll get it because you understand me. Most people do not, especially Oilers fans. But Oilers fans have convinced me that Edmonton's bad. Evan Bouchard sucks. Darnell Nurse sucks. Tristan Jarry sucks. Everybody sucks except McDavid and Leon. They've convinced me that they're a bad team because that's all that I hear coming out of Edmonton. It's kind of sad, man, in my opinion.
I don't disagree. Like, I'm not a fan of Darnell Nurse. You know that. the goaltending this year has not been good. Please, please, please stop with the Evan Bouchard for the Norris Trophy. Because he is not the best defenseman. Is he a top 10 defenseman in the NHL? Yeah, he is. But why is it everybody is talking about Evan Bouchard and the Norris Trophy in Edmonton, but yet the national media, NHL Network in the States, the ESPN guys, Hockey Night in Canada, for the most part, Evan Bouchard isn't in their top 3. Is Evan Bouchard a better defenseman in the playoffs? Yeah, he is. But I'm sorry, kids. He's not the best defenseman in the NHL. And just because he had the most points doesn't mean he's the best defenseman in the NHL.
You'll get a bang out of this. I had a young reporter write me. I was saying this on the air last week and say, Rod, how do you feel about if I voted for Celebrini for MVP? Because if it was made public, would I be humiliated for saying that? And I said, you vote for whoever you want. And you should vote expecting that it'll be made public, because who knows? But I didn't tell him this because he would have no clue, but it reminded me of when I voted for Chris Getzlaff over John Cornish for top Canadian, and the vote was 99-1. And everybody knew it might as well have been public. I just spit on the microphone.
But there was
might as well have
some
been
bias
public.
there, perhaps.
You think? I had to defend it on Calgary radio. I'm like, I have my reasons.
I know you did.
The vote was 99-1. I think it was 2013. So, anyways, okay, 2 minutes here. So,
did you and John Cornish
question,
ever patch up your differences?
Oh, he loved it. He loved it. I spent all that time
That's
in Calgary, as you know, a few years ago. Yeah, no, he thought it was great. He didn't care. He got the award anyways. I mean, it would have been nice if it was unanimous, but whatever. He totally gets it. What else you got? The last word from you until tomorrow.
Nothing really. As I said, I think you and I talked about it quite a lot. Very interested to see what happens in Game 1 tonight at Rogers Place and Game 2 of the other 3 series that are going on. We'll see what happens. And with the NFL draft on Thursday, are teams going to be quiet leading into the draft, or is there going to be some more movement coming up? And I think it's probably going to be about 50-50 on that. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Oh, and the Raptors play tonight, but yeah, I won't be watching.
The Raps.
And I won't even bring up WrestleMania.
Thrashers. Duh. Atlanta Hawks at the Knickerbockers. T-Wolves in Denver. Yeah, again, I'm paying attention to what's going on, but I'm not sitting there following it. But the will they or won't they of the draft trades, to me, is getting to be a little much in NFL talk. Is like, can we just get to the draft? But I mean, that's why a lot of people are here, is to hear the Stanley Cup playoff talk. And we'll continue that after the break. Doug MacLean coming up in hour 2, the NHL executive and Sportsnet alum, Doug MacLean. That's going to be fun. Scruffy, have a good one. We'll see you tomorrow.
Okay, sounds good. Have a great day.
Mitchell Scruffy Blair will be coming right back. 902-518-3033, by the way, is the text line. It's brought to you by our friends at Western Dodge, or the YouTube chat. You're checking out the RP Show here on Game Plus Television, podcast, and WQVZ Radio.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion, as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote your rebel, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Welcome back, everybody. The RP Show continues on this Monday. It is episode number 1720 of your favorite daytime sports talk show. Why do I know it's your favorite? Because you're here, silly. The text line's open. It's for Western Dodge. Thanks for everybody for supporting our sponsors, by the way. Experience the Western Dodge difference. Local, reliable, and driven to find the perfect vehicle for you. 902-518-3033 reaches us. I hear all these things all the time. Positive, like 95% positive about this show, 5% negative, and we don't pay any attention to those. One of them is you talk about everything, and I follow everything. So it's a perfect fit, and that's what we're doing today. It's Scruffy's gone for today. He'll be back tomorrow. It's just you and me now to the top of the hour, as I say, the Larry King of sports. Lucier in Montreal, hello. He says Crosby and the Penguins went to Tampa, backs against a wall and won Game 6. Swept by Columbus, COVID run. And then Colorado. He says, seems scary. I'm not quite sure what he's talking about, but he's a new viewer and he's a Habs fan, or she. I'm not sure. Lucier is the name. Darren in Utah, hello. Says the NFL creates things to talk about when there is nothing to talk about. Oh, I know. I used to be really good at that in the CFL circles, but a lot of people there didn't like it, which, by the way, is another thing. Before I get to more of your comments, you know that I took this show to Calgary. I was doing the show in all those casinos for a couple of years, and it was great. And I met with some of the local stations there about working with them, and they're like, yeah, the people here just can't get over you being the rider guy. And I'm like, but I like hockey more. They're like, it is what it is. This is what they think. I'm like, okay. So I brought the show to Florida. Oh, well, start over down there. And it's gone over fine. But by the way, though, being the rider guy in Alberta really shouldn't be a bad thing. But what Scruffy and I were talking about before the break was when I had the year-end award vote for the Canadian Football League Awards, I voted for our receiver in Saskatchewan, Chris Getzlaff, over Calgary's running back John Cornish for top Canadian. When the votes were unveiled, it was 99-1. And everybody knew who the one was. But the funny thing was, when I got out to Calgary, Cornish thought it was hilarious. All the Stampeder people thought it was great. But the fans can't get over it. Figure that one out. Yeah, hit the likes, everybody. Hit the likes if you're watching the show on YouTube. That will help us out tremendously. Dan in Winnipeg, hello. Says Rod, I'm going to say Habs in 6 games. Habs looked good last night. He says Knights, Utah going 6 games. Knights will win. Hey, right on in with your predictions. I can't keep track of them all. Shoot, I can't keep track of my own. But what I will say about Tampa Bay, again, you're all here watching because you'll find me entertaining and maybe learn something along the way. But I said all year, I'm not counting out Vegas. And nobody argued it. Some people wondered why. But I said they will do whatever it takes to win. God, I admire that. The Golden Knights aren't running their team based on AI. Let's just put it that way. Okay. And with Tampa, very similar. Like I was sitting at the Stadium Series in Tampa Bay game, Lightning Bruins, when John Cooper came out in the white fedora dressed like a Cuban drug lord and the tabbed collar, and they fell down 5-1 in the second period, and I had thoughts of Coop ripping that hat off and stomping on it. He didn't. And the Lightning came back and won that game 6-5 in overtime. It was the biggest comeback in Lightning history. It just happened to be in the biggest game ever at Raymond James Stadium, the home of the Buccaneers. But my point is, they might be the most resilient team in the NHL. There were a lot of road teams that won the opening 2 nights of the Stanley Cup playoffs, right? Minnie goes into Dallas and mollywops the Stars. Montreal goes in and wins in Tampa Bay. Who else? I guess that was, Philly. Philly goes into Pittsburgh and wins 3-2, which that's my pick for the upset of round 1. There may be more upsets. I don't think Montreal's going to upset Tampa Bay, but I will say this. I was errant. This is another one that's really sticking in my craw lately. I don't mind admitting my mistakes. You know who taught me how to do that? Ken Austin, way back in 2007. He's like, don't be afraid to admit your mistakes. Just don't make them again. And I don't. Why was my point on that? I've been affected by people over the last several days that won't, and it just ticks me off. What's wrong with saying that you were wrong? Bill from Whitby, Ontario writes, and he says, this Leafs fan has a Habs Vegas final. Oh, this is where I was wrong. I brought myself around to it. Eventually, I always do. Thank God I was still on the air when I did. On the Cats and Bolts podcast, Florida's most watched hockey show, I did this category thing with my co-host Brent. I went down all the categories for this, and I forgot one very key category. I said coaching, Tampa, which Montreal won that one in game 1. Goaltending, Montreal won that one in game 1, but I said Tampa. Special teams, clearly Montreal won that one. Blue line, I gave to Montreal going into the series and still do. Forwards, I gave to Tampa. Did I say special teams? Statistically, they were a wash, but Montreal was far better last night. The one that I did not put in there, and I usually do, is intangibles, the X factor. And Montreal does have that. You can go, and it's something that it's the measurables that you can't measure. And that might be the biggest category out of all of them, and I forgot to put it in there. I still would pick Tampa Bay to win the series, and I still think they'll come back and win the series, but Tampa does not have the intangibles. They do not have the mojo that Montreal has, and we saw that on Sunday. Can they get it back? I'm saying yes, that they will. Dan in Winnipeg says Dobish outplayed the Tampa goal. Right, and who saw that coming, by the way? The rookie who nobody could even say his name. He didn't even start a game until the new year, or right around the new year. He shut out the Panthers here in Florida. I was at the game. I said to Paul Maurice. Can you appreciate what the kid just did? He's like, absolutely. Are you kidding me? Come in here and shut out the Stanley Cup champions? That Dobish. Nobody even knew how to say his name. And he outdueled Vasilevsky in game. Who would have saw that coming? Hey, Tony, I love this. Tony in Cochrane says, it sounds like Myles Garrett wants out of Cleveland. Again, hasn't talked face-to-face with Monken yet. Not at voluntary minicamp. And I don't blame him. Here's what they don't understand. From Stormy Daniels to Myles Garrett. When you get the money, you're not allowed to talk anymore. That's the whole idea of the agreement. Myles, you got the bag. You were given the most amount of money ever given a defensive lineman in NFL history. You can't complain anymore. That's the deal. He's breaking the agreement just like Stormy did. I mean, I guess you can. I don't think he's going anywhere. Utah Darren says, my Mammoth need tons and tons of intangibles. I don't think you have any, unfortunately. You're not going to win the series. Scott in Vancouver says, Rod, what time is Doug MacLean on the show? He will be on at 10:15 a.m. Pacific. Dan in Winnipeg says, Rod, you're being a homer. Dan, you're going to have to get up a lot earlier if you're going to try and hurt my feelings with name calling. I've been called a homer ever since you were in diapers, my boy. That ain't going to hurt my feelings. As a matter of fact, I would say thank you to that. Oh, this one's on me. This one's on me. I did not have my sports script ready to go yet. But I have it here right now. The Orlando Magic came in Detroit on Sunday and stunned the top-seeded Pistons 112-101 in the NBA playoffs for a wire-to-wire Game 1 victory. The defeat extended Detroit's home playoff losing streak to 11 games. Tyler Reddick took advantage of a late caution on Sunday at Kansas Speedway for yet another victory, becoming the first driver since Dale Earnhardt in 1987 to win 5 of the first 9 races in a season. This kid is on fire, said team owner Michael Jordan. That's why I asked Scruffy earlier, is there a sport that you're not even paying attention to at all? Because I'm keeping my eye on NASCAR. I'm keeping my eye on golf. I'm keeping my eye on, like, Matt Fitzpatrick blew a 3-shot lead over Scotty Scheffler on Sunday at the RBC Heritage, but held on to win in a playoff for this second victory of the season, his second RBC Heritage title. The New York Giants traded Pro Bowl D tackle Dexter Lawrence to the Bengals in exchange for a package that includes the number 10 pick in this week's NFL draft. There are now 6 teams with multiple first-round picks, with the Giants joining the Jets, Browns, Chiefs, Dolphins, and Cowboys. I feel like we'll talk about that more next hour because we don't have time to here. The sports update is brought to you by Ultimate Fan Zone. Dress like a fan, not a spectator. Ultimate Fan Zone has everything you need. Jerseys, hats, hoodies, and more. Start shopping now at ultimatefanzone.ca. Doug MacLean coming up in the second hour. NHL executive, now the second most famous Florida Panthers coach ever, and he'll admit that. He knows that. And more of this. More fun chat with you. Stick around. We'll be right back. You're watching the RP Show on Game Plus Television. By the way, that text line is 902-518-3033. Would love to hear from you. Also, checking us out on YouTube Live, podcast, and on the radio, WQVZ.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
How about that?
Well, hello, RP Show enthusiasts. I just got your text, Jeremy. Should I read it on the air, Jeremy, in the Game Plus control room? You tell me, Jeremy, in the Game Plus control room if I should read it on the air or not. Is in the RP Show. We welcome the viewers across Nevada on Silver State Sports. Got a big treat for you. Doug MacLean coming up in the next segment. The guest segment brought to you by Prairie Panels. The very iconic NHL executive, just a great guy, neighbor of mine in a way, lives in a neighboring community of mine here in South Florida. Very popular head coach of the Florida Panthers, ran the Columbus Blue Jackets for many, many years, star of Sportsnet. That's where a lot of the younger people know him from. Yeah, Doug MacLean coming up in the next segment. Let's get down to business and have some fun here, okay? Yeah. I was talking about Stormy Daniels last hour. That's all on the. Do a Google image search, by the way. There's a story in there somewhere. There's a lesson in there somewhere. But the Quick Six Show topics brought to you by our great friends at Uniglobe Carefree Travel Group, the preferred travel partner of the RP Show, and the BC Lions. Point one is NHL weekend. Coming out of the weekend, we're already on to night 3. But as my good friend Gord Stellick said from NHL Radio this morning, there was no tiptoeing into the Stanley Cup playoffs. 3 seconds into the game 1, Brady Tkachuk chucking their knuckles with Jordan Staal, the captain of the Carolina Hurricanes. And it's funny, by the way. Remind me to ask Doug MacLean this. I'm not sure if he's logged in yet to watch this or not, but I was watching the games like you all were. And they said, hey, Brady Tkachuk challenge Jordan Stahl before the faceoff. They drop the puck and they fight. And they're like, well, Stahl couldn't say no. Why couldn't he say no? Why? You know what Tkachuk was trying to do. In the end, it didn't matter. Carolina won the game 2-0. And I don't want to get hung up on just one game, but Carolina beat Ottawa 2-0. Minnesota had their way with Dallas literally 6-1, but I'd rather lose 6-1 than by 1 goal and think you played well. Philadelphia went into Pittsburgh and won 3-2 on Saturday night. That was an entertaining game. And then a 4-banger on Sunday. Colorado beat the LA Kings 2-1, which we all expected they would. Buffalo in the most raucous rink in these Stanley Cup playoffs so far. Buffalo at home beat Boston 4-3. The Vegas Golden Knights, sorry, I haven't swapped out my jersey yet, but you're happy. You're in a good mood today anyways because the Golden Knights beat Utah 4-2. And then the series that I'm following the most is Montreal, Tampa Bay. So stick with me for a second. Just so you know, you see this sign, the very astute people have noticed that I changed this sign. It says, when we recover loudly, we keep others from dying quietly. That's for those of us that have recovered from addiction, mental health issues. So we've recovered and we tell everybody that we have. It shows them that it's possible for anybody that's struggling. So I use technology in that mental health coaching a ton because it works. So I have a point. I'm going to land the plane here. Montreal beats Tampa Bay 4-3 in game 1. Didn't see it coming. I talked about all the categories going into the series that I checked off. Tampa Bay led and won the category of coaching, goaltending, forwards. Special teams was a wash. Experience for sure. Montreal had the only category win. That was their blue line, especially with Victor Hedman out for Tampa. But I didn't have the X factor, the intangible category, and I should have. Montreal has the X on the check on the side of intangibles. But after the game last night, this is why I think Tampa Bay is going to come back and win game 2, is John Cooper's no fool at all. That was a temperature test game 1. Which way is the wind blowing here? And in most series it is. And it's like, Montreal's not fooling. Juraj Slafkovsky, the number 1 overall pick, comes out and scores thrice. What I have a problem with, they're all on the power play, all from the same spot. How do you not stop that? But John Cooper, the head coach of the Lightning, says after the game, says, do you have a problem with any of the calls? He goes, no, I have a problem with us. And the 4 penalties we took in the offensive zone, that's stupidity. So in this kinder, softer world now, you calling your players stupid? It was stupidity. So my point on all of this is, and anybody that's in these 12-step meetings with me will know, because I'm always pulling out the definition of these terms. The definition of stupidity is the quality of being unintelligent, slow-witted, or lacking sound judgment, acting as the opposite of intelligence. That's where we are, people, because you would come back to John Cooper and say, was he wrong? They lacked good judgment in taking 4 penalties in the offensive zone. They're not going to do that again, is my whole point. So our poll question today, by the way, hey, Allie, hang on. Our poll question today brought to you by Country Thunder. The summer's biggest party is coming to Craven, Saskatchewan, July 9th to the 12th, featuring Lainey Wilson and Creed. Get your tickets now at countrythunder.com/SK. Just $20 down will secure your pass. Allie has checked in from Texarkana, Texas. Hang on, Allie. I'm getting to your team. And that's the Dallas Stars, obviously. The poll question is, will there be an upset in round 1 of the Stanley Cup playoffs? There always is of first-round series. There's always one, at least one. There's probably going to be more than one in this year's Stanley Cup playoffs. Will it be Montreal over Tampa Bay? I don't think so. The one that I've got predicted as an upset will be Philadelphia beating Pittsburgh. It just seems to be Philly's time, which, man, I can't. Can we just get Doug MacLean on now? But we're on a set time. I just can't wait to ask him all of these things. Like the playoff experience thing is, you would think, a really big thing in the Montreal-Tampa Bay series. The Lightning have the most play of Stanley Cup playoff teams, whereas the Habs have the 4th least, but it didn't look like that on Sunday. Philadelphia has the least playoff experience. Philadelphia. And you're going up against Pittsburgh. These guys, I talked about myself being a member of AARP, American Association of Retired Persons. How about Pittsburgh? Carlson, Crosby, Malkin, Letang. They're old. So how much experience is too much? I feel like we're about to find out. Allie from Texarkana says, that wasn't my team Saturday. I don't know who that was. I don't think anybody in the arena knew. We were all watching. We were all, what? What's going on here? Minnesota skated circles around the Dallas Stars. We were talking earlier about Jake Ottinger. Is he a playoff goalie? I think until he proves otherwise, the answer is no. But for the benefit of those, Carolina beat Ottawa 2-0 in Game 1 Saturday. Minnesota mollywopped Dallas 6-1, as we say. Philly beat Pittsburgh 3-2. And then on Sunday, Colorado beat the LA Kings 2-1. I was surprised it was that close. Montreal beating Tampa 4-3 in overtime. As I say, Sabres over Boston 4-3. Huge comeback for the Sabres and a comeback for the Vegas Golden Knights over Utah by a score of 4-2 in the Fortress. I don't want to repeat myself, but I feel like I should repeat myself because a lot of the viewers right now across Nevada weren't watching in hour one. I said that you've all been watching for months. I said, I've got faith in the Vegas Golden Knights that they're going to find a way to turn it around. I didn't know how they would. And it took firing the coach, bringing in John Tortorella, getting Carter Hart healthy, going against the grain. As I said, the Golden Knights are not running their team based on AI. And we discussed that last hour with Scruffy. I have a tough time believing that the Toronto Maple Leafs are being run by AI, by Keith Pelly. But you know what? Nothing surprises me anymore either. Allie in Texarkana says, I love Jake, but I'm getting concerned. I love the back and forth nature of this show. It's so amazing. 902-518-3033 from your local Dallas Stars fan, Texas, Allie in Texarkana. Kirk in Toronto writes in, says, hey, Rod, did you see the brawl in the Bronx in the stands last week? You have to be prepared to enter the Bronx Zoo. Bro, I'm not following baseball. I'm just going to be honest with you until hockey's over. I'm just not. So, Bob in Medicine Hat writes in. Good morning, Rod. Bob from the Hat. Again, you are Larry King live. Have an awesome day. As I say, when I don't have a co-host here, some days I do. A lot of time I don't. I say I'm the Larry King of sports talk. Bob in Poplar Bluff, Missouri. Hello, you're on the air. Jeremy from the Game Plus control room says, I never expected to hear Stormy Daniels' name brought up in an analogy today. This early? Rod, hold my non-alcoholic beer. I'm just saying. I don't even remember what the parallel was last hour. For the Rough Riders fans that are watching, I've decided I will throw the CFL notes into the second hour, even though this is the U.S. hour of the program and we're airing across Nevada on Silver State Sports. We're still on Game Plus TV. The Rider fans are all excited. Today they announced the Plaza of Honor. That is, I'll say, our version of the Hall of Fame. Vintage Sasko writes in, he says, holy smokes, Uncle Rod. Dan Clark, Rob Bagg, and finally Paul McCallum going into the Plaza. He says, LFG, baby. All deserving entrants of the Hall of Fame. Congratulations, guys. I had the distinct honor of calling all of their games across the Canadian Football League. Way to go, guys. Tonight in the NHL? Hang on. Carlos in Indianapolis writes in, the Larry King of sports talk, hosting a show that's The View meets PTI. Oh, I know. Hey, Carlos, you were watching the show back in the day when we started this thing. And it was like Howard Stern meets David Letterman meets The View. It's changed, but you know what? That's life. You gotta ride the waves. Utah Darren writes in and says, one thing I noticed in the ESPN broadcast, it sounded like it was their first time seeing the Mammoth play. It probably was, but the one thing about this show is, because when I get off the air today, I'm not going to be going on Twitter unless it's just to post things, because I can't handle the negativity and the crap. Not that you're probably right. They don't know who Utah. I don't think I could name you 5 Utah Mammoth players. So I'm not surprised that the ESPN crew would have a problem with it. And Mark Messier and PK Subban are getting roasted today because they can't say Ukko-Pekka Laakkonen. I'm not sure I even said it right, the goalie for the Buffalo Sabres. Everybody's just in this crap throwing fight that I don't want to be part of. It's just sad. Now might be a good time, though, if you are looking for a place to throw your Stanley Cup playoff draft party. There's still time. I'm seeing some pools that they have not closed their doors yet, and it is 1:11 Eastern. 11:11 Mountain for those that observe. Yeah, we're a little all over the place. That's okay. That's what we do. 1:11. Visualize the place you want to be and the person you want to be. Live there and let everybody catch up. It works. It works. Pump Jacks, Cathedral, Pump Jacks, Weyburn brings you our picks every day, whether it be Stanley Cup playoffs, NFL, CFL, UFL. Let's do our picks right now. Stanley Cup playoffs tonight. Philadelphia, Pittsburgh. Flyers up 1-0 in the series. The Penguins will win this one tonight. Don't take that to the bank. Ottawa at Carolina. Carolina will win this one on the way to a sweep. Minnesota at Dallas. Your Stars, Allie, were so embarrassed in Game 1. They'll come back and win tonight. They're good enough to do that. There's no doubt. And Anaheim at Edmonton. I believe Edmonton is the most intimidating barn in the National Hockey League of teams still alive in these playoffs. Teams still playing. Edmonton will win Game 1 tonight. By the way, with Doug MacLean coming in the next segment, if you have any questions or comments for Doug, Stanley Cup playoff related, please fire them my way. The appearance with Doug MacLean brought to you by Prairie Panels. Are you building a shop, barn, rink, or commercial space? Prairie Panels provides high-quality insulated wall and roof panels designed for durability and energy efficiency. Visit prairiepanels.ca or call 306-985-0050. We got hung up on points 1 and 2 of the Quick Six show topics on the Stanley Cup playoffs. Point 3, Toronto Raptors try to square their first-round best-of-7 NBA playoff series tonight in Cleveland after falling 126-113 to the Cavaliers on Saturday in Game 1. Point 4, the Toronto Blue Jays open a 3-game series tonight in Anaheim against the Angels after snapping a 4-game losing streak with a 10-4 victory at the Arizona Diamondbacks on Sunday. Righty Dylan Cease starts for the Jays, while the Angels counter with lefty Reed Detmers. Jays are tied for last in the American League East at 8-13. Point 5, Quick Six show topics brought to you by Uniglobe Carefree Travel out of Vancouver, the official travel partner of the RP show, and the BC Lions. It's simply NFL talk. The draft is Thursday night, round 1. They spread it over Friday and Saturday. It's pretty awesome the way they do it. We'll talk about it more later because we only have a minute left in this segment. But so I was driving down I-95 on yesterday afternoon. Billboard says NFL draft in 4 days. I kind of laugh because I'm like, 95% of the people driving down I-95 here in South Florida know that the NFL draft is in 4 days. But you know that tells me the NFL is still advertising. Just like Coca-Cola, just like McDonald's, they still feel the need to advertise. And as much as maybe there will be more drama built up by Thursday, I don't feel like there will be, but we will all be watching. That, sir, is a guarantee. Doug MacLean in next, the Sportsnet great, NHL executive, all-around great guy, pride of Summerside PEI, which is hosting the Centennial Cup this spring, by the way. We'll talk about all that and more when we come back. You're watching on Game Plus TV and Silver State Sports.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live. Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
RP Show continues on Game Plus TV and Silver State Sports. Check in the poll. 98% of our Country Thunder Daily poll saying there will be an upset in round one of the Stanley Cup Playoffs. There always is. And Doug MacLean joins us. We built him up before the break. NHL executive, Sportsnet icon. Hey, Doug, I guess if you're voting yes, which I'm assuming you are, there'll be an upset in round one. Who do you think is going to be?
That's you know what, I picked many to beat Dallas, and it's probably an upset. Obviously, it's an upset, but many have been really good. Dallas have been real good, but I watched game one; it wasn't close. I don't know if that'll hold up, but I'm expecting many to beat Dallas. Now the other,
well, I'll tell you what, another.
Beating your Lightning. I'm worried about your Lightning right now without Hedman.
I don't know. Well, hey, what happened? What happened in game one in your mind?
I don't know what. Okay. I'm
go.
trying to get in the middle of this square here, but it's complicated. I don't have a studio here. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, you're perfect.
Okay,
you look great no matter what. Turn it to your right and we'll be good to go. I mean, John Cooper said it was stupidity that plagued his team in game one. What did you take out of that game?
You know what? I really didn't watch it really close because I was flipping around to different channels. Okay, what's going on with this camera? Why is it not? What am I supposed to do here to get it in the middle? Is it in the middle or not?
It's good enough. I would say just leave it. Corey, let him go. Go ahead, Doug. Yeah.
You know what? I really was focused on a couple other games, so I really didn't watch a whole lot of it. But every series is going to be really tight. I mean, I was on Kiprios' show on Friday, and Bourne and I went 100% opposite on the picks. 100% opposite on our picks. So I mean, that's how close every series is. So we'll see what happens, you know. So who knows, you know.
Well,
but anyway,
I guess I should go back. I should go back and watch Kiprios' show then, because the series I'm most interested in is Tampa Bay Montreal. And almost every category, Montreal should win this thing. But my God, Montreal's got some mojo going for them.
You're saying Tampa should win the series?
I thought Tampa should win, and I think they'll come back and win it. But Montreal, yeah.
Look, it's going to be hard to believe. I picked Montreal to beat Tampa, and I'm trying. As a matter of fact, I picked the Stanley Cup final being Minnesota and Montreal. So let's see what happens. But I've watched Tampa a fair amount this season, and a lot of nights I've been really disappointed in how they played. And without Hedman, who has been now, do they get him back? That's going to be an interesting question. I just like the way Montreal. I like the way their speed. I like their creativity. I like the youth. They're not going to be fazed by this. I think Montreal's got a chance to beat them. And, you know, I know that's hard to believe, but Montreal have played really well the last 6 weeks of the season, and for the most part all year long. So it's going to be a great series. What is going on with Hedman? I hope he's back. I hope he comes back and he's healthy for them, because he's that huge for them. He really is, you know.
Well, they're not saying, obviously. Yeah, they're not saying what's with him, and it's unfortunate. Everybody's just wishing him well. But you know, some of these other series, I love talking hockey with you. You love talking hockey. This Buffalo Sabres, this phenomena is ridiculous. As of December 1st, they were still on the bottom of the barrel, and now they're the hottest thing. Have you ever seen anything like it?
Look, Kevin Adams they won 4 in a row, I think, before Kevin got fired, and they looked like they were ready to turn on. I talked to Lindy a fair amount. He's always sort of believed in them. Kekalainen comes in and really doesn't do anything except just it seemed to be a freshness created there by the group, you know. So I'm not sure what really took place, but I'll tell you what, they have been the best team in the NHL for the last 3 or 4 months. And right now, I thought Boston would be really, really a tough out for them. I really did, with the way Boston has been playing. They're physical. They play. Sturm's done a really good job with them from a coaching perspective. I was shocked that Buffalo come back last night and beat them late in the game. So we'll see. This is going to be a long, tough series. I wouldn't count Boston out, and Buffalo have been that good. I mean, they're a talented group, and it's unbelievable how 14 years they haven't been able to do anything, and all of a sudden a slight management change, because all they've added is a couple of veteran defensemen and, average guys, and yet they're the best team in the NHL. So we'll see how this series goes and how it goes. But I know Lindy feels really good about it. So,
as he should. And there's a lot of guys that'll be in the Coach of the Year discussion, and Lindy should be one of them. But speaking of coaching, look at Dallas getting smacked around 6-1 by Minnesota. You opened with that. I didn't hear what Glenn Gulletson said after the game, but what I will say, I'd rather lose 6-1 than 2-1 and think you played well. They were humiliated in that game. I think they come back and win tonight.
I'd be surprised if they don't come back. But I'm telling you, Minnie right now, Minnie's a heck of a team, and Kaprizov is the new Kucherov. The way this guy plays, he's got their power play on fire. You saw the goal he scored the other night, top shelf on Ottinger. What becomes of Ottinger here? This is a great young goaltender who should be at the prime of his life, and he is really, they weren't bad goals, but he's got to win games for them when you're at his status in the NHL and with the team. They're a talented team, but I'll tell you, many play tough. They play hard. They play fast. I think Billy Guerin. I think he's one of the premier GMs in the league. I really do, and he's done a heck of a job there. Hines, he's had a couple of other stops in his career, But to me, he's done a heck of a job coaching this Minnesota team. So I think they're going to be a tough out. I really do. By everybody. I mean, they have been that good the last few months.
Well, you said a Minnesota-Montreal Stanley Cup. I'm not sure if you heard EA Sports, the video game, did a simulation. They had Montreal, Minnesota. I'm pretty sure you're not using AI like the Leafs to make your predictions.
They did have that.
I
thought
did.
I was the only one that I just did it to sort of piss people off, and now it's so we'll see.
It's catching on. Yeah. Well, hey, the other thing, we got a lot of series to jump around, and this is going to go fast. But you've been a coach, you've been a GM, you've been fired, you've fired guys. It worked in Vegas so far. It didn't work for the Islanders. What did you think about those late moves by those teams with their coaches?
Well, look, it's called the 10 or 15 million move, because that's what you make if you get to the first round and you get 3 or 4 home games. You got a chance to make some cash, and owners are sitting there and they're putting pressure on the GM. You know, we got to make the playoffs. We desperately have to make the playoffs. The Islanders firing Patrick Waugh for Peter DeBoer, to me, it's a joke. I'm sorry. I like Peter. He's a good guy. I don't have him in that top echelon coaches in the league. I really don't. I mean, he's been a lot of places. He's got to the finals a few times. Good on him. I just don't have him. I don't have him as a premier coach in the NHL. I really don't. So we'll see what happens. Darcy, I like Matthew. I signed him to his first pro contract in Columbus at a McGill University. He's a great guy. I'm not sure. You know, we'll see. I'm not sure this is a great move, but we'll see what happens. I mean, the thing with the Islanders is, how far does Schaefer take them? This guy is going to be the next great superstar in the NHL. He and Celebrini, to me, take over the league as the next greatest superstars to come in a long time. Watching Schaefer this year, I couldn't believe he, based on how he played, how he was not on the Canadian Olympic team blows my mind. I know he's 18 or 19, but I don't care. Based on the games that he played this year, he deserved to be on that team, and would have helped them, to be quite honest. So that's easy for me to say, but I just think this guy has got a chance to be something really special. So how far will he take the Islanders? You know, you build around people. Look what Celebrini did for San Jose. He almost willed them into the playoffs. I watched him in Toronto late in the season. He was by far the best player on the ice. He is a special kid. So you got a special forward in San Jose. You got a special D on the island. How far do they take their franchises? Typically the greatest of players take their teams to those tough places. So we'll see what they do.
Who was yours for the 96 Panthers, if I could just go down that great memory lane?
Who was mine in 96 Panthers? Wow. You know what? I think who was my favorite player on that team was a 27-year-old Robbie Niedermeyer, who probably scored, I think, close to 30 goals that year as a young guy, 24-year-old or 25-year-old, who went head-to-head against Lindros, who went head-to-head against Lemieux and Yager, who went head-to-head against the best players, Colorado against Forsberg. He was a special kid, Robbie Niedermeyer. He really was. And besides that, he was dating Nikki Taylor at the time.
A spring in his step. And a great Medicine Hat Tiger, Rob Niedermeyer, by the way. I brought up the firing of Bruce Cassidy. I got to get your take on the heater that the Knights are, I guess, 8-0-1 under Torts in regular season and playoffs now.
I don't get like Bruce Cassidy is a really good coach, you know, and I followed him really close in Boston because my son had a couple of players on that team, and it got unbearable with him in Boston. He had great success, didn't win a cup, but he certainly had great success from a winning percentage, and he was a real good coach. And Bruce is a solid guy, but they had to get him out of there. It got to be so bad in the room that they had to get him out of there. And I watched him go to Vegas, and I watch him have great success, wins a Stanley Cup, and then I'm hearing the same things. They like he lost the room. He's so tough on the players that it just eventually wears out. That doesn't mean he's not a real good coach. And Bruce is a solid. I don't know him that well, but he's a solid guy. And I know friends of mine that are great friends of him. They think the world of him. But you can't go after the players every day of every week and think that it's going to hang tough for you. And I suspect he's going to get another job. I'm sure he'll have a pick of jobs. And I don't get why he doesn't ease up a little in just that area, because they were not going to play for him anymore in Vegas. It was over. It was done. And I know that for a fact. So I hope when he gets his next opportunity, he may never change, but I hope he does, because he's a heck of a coach.
From the viewers, Scott in Vancouver says, Coach, if you don't mind me calling you that, Mac, he said, Coach, I heard you say that Elias Pettersson could be another Pavel Datsyuk if he played up to his potential. Do you think he can get his game back?
I've said some dumb things in my career. There's no doubt about that. But I'm going to tell you when I said it. I'm going to set it. I said it when I was watching them in the playoffs. When Travis Green was coaching them, and I'm watching he and Quinn Hughes and that group of young players have an unbelievable playoff run where he took them. And I'm watching this guy, premier playmaker, unbelievable vision, looked like he was going to be the next superstar. And I would have said that probably 5 years ago. I made that quote, and I really believed it. I thought he was going to be that good. And for whatever has happened, I cannot figure it out for the life of me. You don't go from being as good as he was his first 2 years and 2 or 3 years in the league to what he is today. It boggles my mind. So they've got to figure it out, and he's got to figure it out, because he's that talented. So we'll see, with new coaching, what happens there, with new management. We'll see what happens there. I don't know if Adam Foote, hopefully Adam survives, but I don't know if he will. But if that franchise doesn't get him going, they're going to be in tough, because look at where they were. They were positioned to become a really good team, and they lost in 7 games to Edmonton in a hard-fought series with Tocchet coaching them. And all of a sudden, they can hardly win a game. And they've lost Bo Horvat, they've lost Quinn Hughes, they lost Miller, and they lost Pedersen because he's done nothing. Demko's been hurt so much. Where do they go as a franchise? This team looked, when Jimmy Rutherford went there, I thought they were positioned to really do some damage. And right now, but Rod, listen to this. I'm watching a game last winter, Vancouver Canuck game, and I'm looking at their team, and I go through it. One Canadian on their team. And I'm sitting there thinking, are you kidding me? There's one Canadian on the Vancouver Canucks? What? When have you ever heard of that? And I'm thinking, Jimmy Rutherford is a GM, and I know Patrick Alvin's, but they lost their way big time. Imagine one Canadian on the Vancouver Canucks. So
on any team, but especially the Vancouver game, sure. Yeah, we only got a couple minutes left. But Dan in Winnipeg would like to know if the Jets should hire Bruce Cassidy.
Well, I don't know. Is Scott getting fired, or is there an opening there, or what? I haven't heard there is.
Good point.
They're another team. You know what's scary about some of these franchises? I was looking the other day. Columbus, out of 41 games this year, had 15 sellouts. In the new NHL, you can't only have 15 sellouts. Winnipeg Jets, 5 sellouts this year. 5 sellouts out of 41 games, I was told the other day. That would indicate to me that financially they've got some work to do to figure this out. I would think they're in tough right now, corporately and every which way. When you're selling out 5, I evaded the question, I don't think that Cassidy would take that job. I may be wrong, but I don't think he would. I heard he doesn't even want Toronto because he really wants to win. So, who knows?
Okay, we got less than 2 minutes here, but what did you?
I ran.
It's fine. Well, it's tough. It's tough when guys have the job. I get it. I don't like to talk about jobs that are still occupied either.
Yeah.
But hey, you're a TV guy. We have a minute. You think the Leafs are being run by AI, like the Athletic article suggests?
No, they're not being run by AI. But you know what? It's funny. I'm writing a new book that's coming out in October, and I actually use a little AI when I was doing it. But you always have to fact check things, for sure. But I thought, I worked for Keith Pelly at Sportsnet for a number of years. I think he's a sharp guy and he's a good guy, but he's in shit right now. And it's not pretty. So it's going to be interesting to see who they hire and who's going to be the president, who's going to be the GM. The team needs a lot of reconstruction. I mean, the team construction aspect of this team is hurting, and it's going to be a real big job for whoever gets it. But no, AI is not running the team, and Keith is, I just don't want Keith to think he's a hockey guy. That's all. He's a business executive. He's a TV executive.
I got you, Doug.
Not a hockey guy.
This has been fantastic. Sometimes they need to be told. This has been awesome. Thanks for the time, Doug. Appreciate it. We'll see you around.
Okay, Rod. Anytime, bud. All the best, man.
The great Doug MacLean. Florida Panthers great, Sportsnet icon, hockey executive. We'll be right back with a sports update and viewer takeover. You're watching the RP Show on Game Plus Television and Silver State Sports across Nevada.
You have a vision, a big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs guy through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote your rebel, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Okay, welcome back, everybody. It is the RP show here on Silver State Sports. Wasn't that fun with Doug MacLean? Such a great guy. Got to know him down here in Florida, and it's a very small hockey community, I can tell you that. So it's always fun chatting stick and puck with Doug. And I also respect the fact, and bad on me, I guess, for asking the question from Dan in Winnipeg. I'll pass that along to you. But he didn't want to answer the question about the Winnipeg Jets coaching. As he said, is the job open? No, it's not. So, yeah, I get it. If you've been fired, which I have multiple times, Doug as well, you have respect for the people that still have those jobs. I get it. Sports update. Starting with the NBA, the Magic came into Detroit on Sunday and stunned the top-seeded Pistons 112-101 for a wire-to-wire Game 1 victory. The defeat extended Detroit's home playoff losing streak to 11 straight games, the longest in league history. NBA playoffs tonight, the Raptors are at Cleveland, Cavs up 1-0. Atlanta at New York, the Knickerbockers up 1-0, and Minnesota at Denver. The Nuggets up 1-0. Speaking of stunners on the weekend, the Buffalo Sabres scored 4 goals in the third period Sunday to come back and beat the Bruins 4-3 in their first playoff game since 2011. Stanley Cup playoffs tonight, Philadelphia at Detroit, Ottawa at Carolina, Minnesota at Dallas, and Anaheim at Edmonton. The Flyers, Canes, Wild lead their series 1-0. It's Game 1 for the Oil and Ducks. Tyler Reddick took advantage of a late caution on Sunday at Kansas Motor Speedway for yet another victory, becoming the first driver since Dale Earnhardt in 1987 to win 5 of the first 9 races in a season. I kind of miss the NASCAR and the auto racing. I got into it, I've never told you this, during COVID because racing was the first sport back for obvious reasons. Social distancing, not a problem in auto racing. And I didn't just watch it on television. I was going to the races. And I'm sitting there going, this is a really, really cool thing. Auto racing. Like they opened the pits. I come on back to the pits. For whatever reason, I get invited places all the time. Still do. So I go back to the pits and the drivers are all out on the hoods of their car, signing autographs, posing for photos. I'm like, 6 feet? Masks? None of that. COVID did not exist to the racing crowd. And the only problem that I had, you see my mind just went somewhere. That whole auto racing thing was hella cool. They're the best concessions in sports. Best items. Taco in a bag, really greasy onion rings. The spaghetti straps. A lot of cool sights there. The only real problem that I had was they didn't take their hats off for the national anthem. That bothered me a great deal. I was going to say something, but I was cautioned to not say anything, so I didn't. Matt Fitzpatrick blew a 3-shot lead over Scotty Scheffler on Sunday at the RBC Heritage, but held on to win in a playoff for his second victory of the season and his second RBC Heritage title. The first was in 2023. From the National Football League, the New York Football Giants traded Pro Bowl defensive tackle Dexter Lawrence to the Bengals in exchange for a package that includes the number 10 pick in this week's draft, There are now 6 teams with multiple first-round picks, with the Giants joining the Jets, Browns, Chiefs, Dolphins, and Cowboys. From MLB, the Mets fell to the Cubs in the 10th inning on Sunday, extending their losing streak to 11 straight games, the franchise's longest since 2004. At 7-15, the Mets are tied with the Royals for the worst record in baseball. As I said earlier, I have been doing my dangdest to stay off social media, and I'm doing pretty well at it. My mood's been great, as you can tell. The only thing bothering me right now is this other laptop has started to give me fits. It's never easy. It's never easy. But this morning I see on Twitter, because listen, in South Florida, it's a real nice melting pot of sports fans. It's so different from where I came from. And you know where that is. Saskatchewan, Canada, where there's one team that anybody cares about. One. Here, every team's a big deal. There's a lot of New York Mets fans here, and they're losing their minds about the travails of the Mets, as I just said. They're like, Bo Bichette is the worst free agent signing in MLB history. They know their baseball.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world, thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world, thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too. Al-Anon and Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge, big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca. All right, welcome back, everybody, for Overtime. Just what a day. So just so y'all know, because y'all care so much, I know you do. It was on me. I couldn't hear Corey because I called up the YouTube feed on the same computer that's sending the feed of the show back to him. I couldn't hear him. We're good now. My God. The realest show on television, right, Corey? As they say. Oh, my God. It proves it every day. 902-518-3033 is the text line. Where do we start? Brent writes in 902-518. Brent in North Battleford, Saskatchewan. Hello. He says, hey, Rod, remember the St. Louis Blues in 2019? That's the Buffalo Sabres. Wouldn't it be great to see a Buffalo-Minnesota Stanley Cup final? Yeah, I think all the finals are great, but I get what you're saying. That was a very interesting comment from Doug MacLean on Keith Pelly. And I see you, Mike, at Ice Time Sports in Winnipeg. Mike Owen, he writes in, he says, best line, he's in big blank, Keith Pelly, president of the Toronto Maple Leafs and MLSE. I mean, the media man, I'm in it, so I don't like to sling crap myself, but the Athletic did not do Keith Pelly any favors. I wrote in my Monday Morning Goalie column last weekend, I said, at some point you need to draw the line. Like, not only am I paying for all the streaming services, which I know a lot of you are too, Netflix, Prime, you name it. I've drawn the line on ESPN Plus, so I get all the NHL games. But I also have newspaper subscriptions too. USA Today, The Athletic. At some point, you need to stop. But The Athletic, a lot of those writers are good friends of mine. It's the best of really what's out there for NHL coverage as far as I'm concerned. So I read that article on Keith Pelly, and those guys didn't do Keith any favors. They made it look like he's running the Toronto Maple Leafs with AI. And I know Keith. Like, that's not him. Not the Keith that I know. I've known him a long time. Arlen Bruce writes in AB. He says, Keith Pelly, we won a Grey Cup championship together in 2004. What a night in Ottawa. Well, furthermore, I sat on the bench at Rogers Center with Keith Pelly 2 hours before a game and just shot the breeze for an hour. He's that kind of guy. He doesn't put on airs. But as Doug said, he got a big job. I don't know who could be successful. I'm pulling for Keith Pelly is the moral of the story there. I think he's a good guy and a sharp guy. He didn't get to where he is by using ChatGPT to run an NHL team. And if he is, may God have mercy on their souls. Paul in Humboldt writes in and says, from Ballard to Stavros to Ontario Teachers Pension Plan to Bell and Rogers, every MLSE ownership group follows the same pattern. Cost-cutting, management coach changes, talent leaves and rebuilds. Yeah, and they don't win. You'd think they'd learn. I was talking about getting invited to places like the auto racing. It was fun. This is like going up to Tiger Woods Simulator when I was there last weekend, or Masters weekend, whatever it was. I'm like, why do you guys want me here? I don't even like golf. Yeah, but you're in with the hockey people and the football people and the baseball people. Those are the people we want to market this place to. Oh, I don't even know. I just show up. The racing was literally something to do. Jared Dumbo was with me. We had big fun. That was the best taco in a bag you're going to find. Yeah, I got to get this computer figured out for tomorrow. I think maybe I need to wear gloves. Maybe I need to wash my hands. I don't know. Bill in Toronto. Another good show. Now out to do yard work. Not me. It's funny because Doug MacLean is like 15 miles north of me right now. We don't need to know where everybody lives, but that's where he lives. I could hear the leaf blowers going around outside the window. It is. Oh, they come to your place on Monday? They come here on Fridays. Where are you blowing these leaves at? That's what I want to know. Just blow them all over. Yeah, exactly. Producer Corey says, at other people's houses. off our property. Get these Leafs off our property. Tony in Cochrane, Alberta, writes in. He says, I see more and more people not taking off their hats for the national anthem. That really ticks me off. And Don Cherry, too. Oh, I know. The other night I was at the Panthers game. Obviously not going to name names, but I'm in the press box. They're singing the national anthem. People walking around all over the place. I get that you're working. I get it. Can you stop for 90 seconds? Just 90 seconds. Can you stop? But I said it earlier to Scruffy. Nobody's giving me the answer that I'm crave. They're not giving me any answer. I don't say the things anymore. I don't fight with the teams anymore. And I kind of sit here and go, is that a good place to be? I'm not in any Twitter wars. I don't hate teams. I guess the good thing is that, doors are opening up that way. I'm not in any fights. It's weird. Jeff the Stamps fan says in 2026, the rules are different. Well, my dad would say, they don't have to be. Arlen Bruce, he got the Flyers to win tonight, the Wild to win tonight, the Oilers to win tonight. He says you're welcome. AB went 4-2. You're now top NHL better, Arlen Bruce III. Former 49er and Chief and two-time Grey Cup champion. How about that? Hey, Jim Young, good to see you. Dirty 30 checking in from Armstrong, British Columbia. He says, happy Monday, Rod. Looking forward to the Lions playing in Kelowna in June. Maybe I'll find my way out for that. I am really starting to think a lot about coming back to Western Canada for the summer because I love it so much. But it'll be a while before we do that. I don't know who the guest is going to be tomorrow because I haven't lined that person up yet, but you stay tuned. It'll be somebody. Scruffy for sure. Thanks to Doug MacLean today and Mitchell Blair. It's been a good one. Thanks, producer Corey. We'll see you tomorrow here on the RP Show.
Good.